Bienvenue, Chez Parlay. Today we are in a phenomenal location. I usually do this off the top of the dome, but I wanted to get it super right. I met this gentleman before the world shut down, and he was hospitable and transparent with all his wisdom when he did meet with us. This man is a bearer of fire. He's created anthems the streets live by. He's the MVP of the MPC. From Dipset to DJ Khaled, Lil Wayne, and more, I have a legendary producer of our time. My 16-year-old self is present, self-honored, and proud to have this exchange with this man. The beats are addictive, and he breaks his own records. That's why they call it crack music. Ladies and gentlemen, I have Rsonist of The Heatmakerz.
Thank you, my brother. That was actually one of my top 5 intros,
Hey,
man. I appreciate that.
Top five.
Sway might have the record, but you're a close number 2, man.
Thank you, man.
Thank you. I appreciate everything you said, though, man. I really appreciate it.
No, I love it. I always feel like life works full circle. And when we first met, I was like, man, this is the guy that would get me pumped through his energy and music before I got ready to go to school. After school, I used to wear this like backpack with speakers in it. It took like 24 AA batteries. And I was playing
dedicated.
Yeah, and I was playing like, you know, More Than Music or like We Ready. And it's like everybody from like the long t-shirts, that Dipset, your guys' influence was like crazy.
I gotta correct you and say I'm ready because I know the fans will tear you apart.
Yes, I'm ready.
Man.
I'm ready.
So I gotta say I'm ready.
Thank you.
I appreciate it though, because it's still, when I hear people say things like that to me, it's still surreal just because I don't view myself how people might view me. You know what I mean? I'm still, in my brain, I'm still the same kid that was in his mother's basement trying to figure out a beat.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? So to hear things like that is like, I almost don't know how to receive that type of those type of compliments, but I appreciate
for sure.
everything that you said.
Sometimes I feel the same way. Like when people, like as artists, we think about the compliments, like we think about our stage, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna win this award. But when it comes around, it's like awkward, right?
Right. Because and I might get some backlash for saying this, but a lot of artists that's like, yo, I'm gonna be a big artist, I'm gonna win a Grammy, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. I mean, yeah, we all might say it at one point, but until it becomes a reality, it's never really, we don't really think it's gonna happen like that because it's such a small percentage of people that actually make it into that space that you don't think that you fit into that space.
No, that's for sure.
You know, but again, man, this is I'm at the point in my career where I don't really think about accolades anymore. You know what I mean? I just think about staying relevant.
No, that's true. That's true. And I think like in music, no matter how well you do, it's always that challenge of like staying on top. You know what I'm saying? So,
or whatever your version of on top is. True. Pause. You know, it's because again, some people lie to themselves. Some people experience a level of notoriety that they've never experienced before, and they mistake that for being at a certain level that they're not at.
That's true.
It's just a new level for them.
True.
You know, so I try to stay grounded, man, and be real with myself. Yeah. Because a lot of times you can fool yourself. You can put out a record that's doing decent numbers and now you think, yo, I'm there, I made it again. It's like, I'm happy with minor accomplishments at this point.
For sure.
Because the minor ones are the real ones that matter. Like when you get the huge check, that's cool.
Yeah.
But when you get all the little checks you weren't expecting about, to me, that's almost better sometimes because those are the ones you really got to grind for.
Absolutely.
The big check is kind of like, you know, it's just it's a byproduct of the smaller ones.
Maybe you'll understand this this parallel I kind of said before as a producer. I said a lot of people don't realize like the lower keys are ugly sounding, right?
Right.
But then the top keys are like evident, but you need both to make the song. So I feel like all the hardships you go through or all the things people don't see behind the scenes like make up the whole production.
Here's the thing too, man. What people consider hardships are the beautiful times, man. Yeah. When you look back on it, you know what I mean? Like some of my best moments in my life is when I had $10 in my pocket and I was trying to figure out how I'm going to make that $10 last for the day. You know what I'm saying? Like I had some of the best times with my friends, my family, everybody was healthy. Yeah. You know, I didn't have a worry in the world. Everything was a win.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And then you get to a point in your life where you don't have room for mistakes anymore.
That's true.
And it happens literally overnight, damn
Because
near.
it's like so expected of you.
Right. You know, like at some point, your hobby of making music becomes a business. And nobody tells you when it's happening. It just, you wake up one day and you're like, oh shit, like this is my job. I got to pay my bills with this. So I have to be creative.
Exactly.
I have to sell some music.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think the people from the outside looking in, they don't see that side of it. They like, yo, he's a producer. He makes money. He must be having the time of his life. Of course, I have great moments. But when your money is depending on you being creative, it's a different ball game.
Then your back's against the wall.
Right. It's like, imagine having to be creative when you might have just lost a close friend, or a family member is sick, or you got some of the worst news of your life, but there's an album that you have to turn in 2 weeks. You understand? So
I was gonna ask you that because I remember the first time I crossed paths with you in this life, you didn't know I was there, but I had a friend, Heathen, and he introduced me to the beat battles.
Right.
And it was you on stage with who was it? He's from Jersey as well. Anyway.
Was it the celebrity beat battle?
It was a celebrity beat battle.
Yeah, I remember. That was 2007.
2007, yeah. So you guys were on stage. I was super, super inspired.
I won that one, by the way.
Exactly, I remember.
Let's not trick the people, man.
Shout out to, God rest his soul as well, Jay Hatch, really great guy.
Oh yeah, my brother, man.
Yeah. It's just so crazy.
Life is crazy, man. Like I forgot he put that together. Big shouts to Jay Hatch, man. Like one of the
Beast of the Beats.
One of my true industry friends.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like this industry is, people think they're your friends, but you know, friendship is just a title to some people. But Jay Hatch was truly like one of my friends in this music industry.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, it's crazy.
Now Jay Hatch, I reached out shortly after. I won the year following.
Right.
And then I had met 6-4, which was Fred the Godson's manager at the time.
Okay.
So I went with my manager to display some beats, and that's how I met Fred. And then having this whole connection, I know you and Fred were very close because when I first met you before the pandemic, he was right here. We bought him a lemonade. You guys were having a great time. He was always humble. He never acted like he forgot about you. Like he was always respectful, and he says, "Yeah, I know who you are. Like, yo, grab my number." He was always a nice guy. And even knowing him way less than you do, I know that has to bring some pain to your heart. I wanted to know, like, how did that affect your career? Though, you know, like pandemic and losing such a great artist of our time as well.
Like when Fred was here, music was 80% fun, 20% business for me.
Yes.
When Fred left, it became the flip side of that.
Okay.
80% business, 20% fun, because it was, with Fred gone, it was hard to enjoy a lot of the stuff that I was doing. Like, if I got good news that I got a placement on this album, or I just landed a deal with this company, or whatever the case was, Fred was probably one of the first people I called, and we would get excited together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, he would be as happy for me as I was for myself.
That's hard to find.
And vice versa. So losing somebody like that, like a lot of the fans think like, yo, I just lost the artist that I work with. Like I lost damn near like a brother.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It wasn't, me and Fred made music together, but the reason our music sounded so seamless was because we had a friendship, like a real brotherhood. It was past a friendship. Like me and Fred were like family, you know? So however you would feel when you lost a close family member that you've been around for the better part of 11 years, damn near 5 days a week. Yeah. I saw Fred more than I saw some of my family members. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think I could really, it's been, what? Oh, shit, it's been about 5 years, going on 5 years this year. And yeah, it's crazy. But
do you feel like, maybe on a spiritual tip, I don't know if you are spiritual, do you ever feel like his presence with you?
Of course. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna tell you what's crazy. Right now, I got it to stop flashing, but there's a light in here that right after Fred passed away, and I came in here after when the pandemic was eating up. Was like slowing down for the first time, and I turned the lights on. This one light started flickering. It never did that before, and ever since, like right now, if I turned it down a little bit, it'll start flickering.
That's crazy.
And it happened right after Fred passed, and it never stopped. I never fixed it. I just felt like that was like him telling me he's in
I
the room
literally
with
have
me.
chills right now because I feel like when my grandmother passed, that's the first way I knew there was something on the other side. It's like they
Right.
express themselves through
I
life.
believe. Let me tell you what I believe in, man.
Mhm.
People might think I'm crazy for saying this. I believe in reincarnation.
Okay.
I believe what body or thing you get put into for the next life
Yes.
is determined by how you live this life. Right? So if you live this life like a piece of shit and treated people crazy, you're gonna get put in the worst predicaments possible for your next life to start from less than
To
zero.
learn the lesson.
Right, to almost like you don't deserve that again. We saw
Interesting.
how you dealt with that in the past life.
Gotcha.
That's what I believe in. So I believe that, you know, if Fred didn't make it back to this earth yet, he's on his way. In one of the best forms possible because he was a great person.
No,
you know,
he was. He had a big heart. He had a big mind. You could tell through
he was
his.
just a great person, man. Like a lot of people, if you've never met Fred, that's like a loss for you because he was like one of those people that was probably one of the nicest human beings on earth when it came to just showing somebody he barely knew love.
Yeah.
Like, you know, so to answer your question from before, to this day, I don't know how I've dealt with that.
Yes.
Because I don't think I've taken the time to really comprehend all the people I've lost since the pandemic. You know, I've lost not only Fred, I've lost aunts and uncles and friends and, you know, so it's one of them things where it's hard to be creative with a lot on your mind.
Yeah.
So I don't think the fans give artists enough credit for being real people and having to go through real problems and still make music that you like.
Sure.
It's not an easy thing.
For
you know,
sure.
like it's like if you play a sport, that's different. You got to go out there and perform. But the game that we're in is a mental game.
Absolutely.
As far as you being able to outthink the other person when it comes to creativity. So when your mind ain't right and things are going on, it's one of the hardest things in the world to dial in on this.
Yeah. Your family could be right, your money could be right,
Right.
but now you got this next challenge within yourself
Right.
that like makes it hard.
Right. So a lot of my music, man, I make music based around how I feel. So when you hear music that sounds like soulful, painful stuff, that's just how I feel. I can't fake music. I can't come into the studio and make a party record and I'm having the worst day of my life.
Where was your mind? Like, speaking of like certain vibes, I don't know why I cannot not play this record over and over. Like, but like the beat that you made for A Monster Made It.
Yeah.
There's something about that. Like, I mean, for sure,
Yeah.
everything you make is top tier, but like for some reason, I don't know, I felt like you were in a
A Monster
zone.
Made It. That was, you know, I be forgetting records.
Yeah,
That's
I
the
know.
record with Jim, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It sounds like they go like, they lied.
Yeah, they lied.
Yeah.
That's what she is saying in the sample, they lied. Yeah, it was probably because I go into molds, right?
Yeah.
Like I'll have 3 or 4 months where I'm on like a gospel vibe,
Yeah,
and that I'm making majority like gospel samples and things like that. Then I have other times where I sample like things that are off the grid.
Yes.
They might not be traditional soul music or rock music. It's just like alternative stuff and I think that was one of those modes that I was in when I made that record because before Jim got on that record was made 1.5 years before he rapped on it.
Yeah,
So
it's
it wasn't
just-
a new record.
It's so dope. And like that project, I felt like there was like a swing in your records. There was like these tom-toms you started incorporating that I
Yeah.
feel like became you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It was super dope.
It was I was smoking some Gucci OG at the time. and what else did I think I had honestly the type of weed that I smoke when I'm working on certain projects
affect the record.
dictate the sound of the project.
That's crazy.
Because it puts you in a different mind frame. For people that don't smoke, more power to you. But for people that do smoke, certain weed can kill your creativity or it can help you.
Absolutely.
I was smoking great weed around that time when I made El Capo.
Unfortunately, I can only do like wine and stuff like that. I'm just like, when it comes to weed, it hits me different.
And I'm the opposite.
Yeah.
I can't drink to save my life. Like I'm not a drinker at all.
I was gonna ask you before the podcast. I was like, yo, if I bring some French wine.
No, I don't. I mean, wine once in a while, you know. But as far as any type of liquor, I've just never been the type to be able to drink liquor.
Gotcha.
I'm a weed smoker. That's it. You know, nothing more, nothing less, man.
In your career, was there ever a point where you're like, oh man, I can't believe this is happening, like in a positive sense?
Still to this day.
That's dope.
Still to this day, like when I go to my house and I'm with my wife and I'm with my my youngest daughter, and even when I'm around my oldest daughter, and I look around and I see the things that I've provided for them based off of music, it's an unrealistic. I mean, unrealistic. It's an unreal feeling. It's like it almost feels like I wake up in the morning, I do what I love, I kind of make my own hours, and money just appears. That's what it feels like. I mean, granted, I work for the money.
For sure.
But
it's all those stepping stones you were talking about, though.
Right, because for the person on the outside looking in, think about how ill this is. I'm not selling anybody anything tangible.
True.
When you buy music online, you don't get anything. You get a download. It's digital. You don't even have credits to read anymore. So with that being said, it's like, I feel like the biggest superhero being, like, I have superpowers. I can create money just off of feeling. I create a feeling, play it for the fan loves it, they pay for it, I get paid. You understand? It's like...
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, when I was 16, your music, for sure, like, you know, you got Dipset, like, rapping over Cam Jim.
Right.
And, you know, Jewels, it's like, but it gave me an energy. I don't know, like, what energy you had in your life, but the way it was transferring to everybody on that scale was just like...
The energy that you felt that's the energy that was coming from a basement in the Bronx. As far as like a kid that was trying to... When I say a kid, I was in my early 20s, but I guess I was still a kid. Me trying to get people to feel the way that I felt when I made these records. And I feel like it translated well. I mean, people perceive different records differently. But for the most part, the message was delivered to people like, oh shit, this is something different I'm not used to hearing.
From a like, I have like synesthesia. So like when I make music or when I hear music, I see the colors, right? So like I always felt like yours was like on that spectrum of like from yellow to red. And it was just like, I could feel like the way you were sent. Exactly.
Those are that's
the way colors, the way you were reaching, like with the sample, like whether it was like the, you know, like it was just triumphant.
I would try to push samples to their limit. As far as like, if it was a epic sounding sample, I wanted to make it sound 10 times more epic. Like, I believe you, as somebody that samples, you have to do that.
True.
You have to kind of push the boundaries of where you can take a sample. Because for me to just take a sample and loop it and put drums on it, that's cool. I mean, some records call for that, if that's what it is. But for the most part, I like breaking records apart and putting them back together my way. You know, and that's kind of been my sound for the last, now 25, 26 years. Which is crazy to even say that on a microphone, 26 fucking years.
It's just time flies, you know, time flies. But I guess time flies when you're also having fun. Like, you're doing what you love to an extent, right? For sure, the business comes into it.
Let me tell you why time flies, if we're going to be 100% honest with each other. It's because, think about it like this. When you were 2 years old, a year was half your life. Right? So when you're 20, a year is a 20th of your life.
That is true.
That's not shit. So now if you get to like 50, a year is like a month to you, damn near.
When you think about like, you have to relive all this up to this point again, and then you'll be old.
Right. But that time will come faster than you think.
True.
Like, a lot of people don't respect time. If there's one thing I have respect for in this world, is time, because we can't get it back.
You know what they say? They say when you, I guess time felt maybe a little slower at some points, because they say when you learn something, I guess when you were learning production, or I was learning whatever I was learning, time kind of has its pace. But I think once you get to a certain point of understanding, everything seems so fluid. I don't know. It's a theory. I'm
trying to think if I agree with that or not. I feel like when you're trying to learn something and you know what you want to do, but you can't execute it, time feels like it's flying, because you want to learn it super fast. You want to learn it. You're like, you know
please.
what I mean? Like, you feel like you can't learn it fast enough.
That's true.
So, you know, I mean, I guess for each his own. Some people it might move faster for, some people it slows down. For me, when I want to learn something, I'll lose sleep trying to learn it. I'm that type of person. Like, I don't want to not know how to do something. And I've always been like that. So
I feel like in music, it's like endless. You can choose like EQing and like fall into that, and after that you're like, holy shit, like this is a whole universe.
Depending on what you want to get stuck on. Some people focus on the wrong thing. It's like, I've met producers that's focusing on, I don't like the way this kick sounds, and they're working on the kick for 3 hours, and you're like,
it lost the vibe.
Do you realize that the reason that somebody's not gonna like this record isn't because of that kick? You're focusing on the wrong thing. If the vibe is right, the kick is the last of their worries. Not saying that you shouldn't make it sound right, but that's not gonna make them dislike the record. Maybe the pattern, maybe the pattern of the kick that you used or the snare or the whatever it is, but the actual sound, most people's ears aren't that in tune.
Yeah. It's the transfer of like energy in the pocket of like somebody seeing themselves on.
Do you know how many records I've heard that were smash records where the person was singing off key? At some point, people just want to like what they like.
That's true.
You know, but meanwhile, another artist will sit in the studio and try to get that record perfect and really fuck up the vibe.
Yeah.
As opposed to just saying it feels good the way it is, let's put it out like this.
Did you feel like when you first started, you were lucky to just have that recognized from the jump? Since you didn't like we all like start out like, oh, I don't know, that a certain degree of professionalism.
Honestly, all the early stuff I did, I second guessed all the way to putting it on a CD to play for people.
Gotcha.
I second guessed all of it because I was too new to know if I was good or not. What told me that I was good was people's reactions, not really myself. Like now I'm confident enough to know that I can make great stuff by myself in a room. I don't need any type of, like pat on the back, like, yo, that was a great job. Like, I don't need that.
Exactly.
But before, I think I needed that. That reassurance. You know what I'm saying? So, again, man, to answer your question, I didn't know. I didn't know if I was good or not back then. I just knew that I could get better.
True.
So, and I'm still like that. I still feel like I can get better.
For the fan base, how did you come across? Who gave you, or did you give yourself the name Rsonist? Like, people always thought, well, Heatmakerz for sure is like a group, but like...
It used to be me and my man Thriller. He stopped making music in 2007.
Gotcha.
So Rsonist was my name when I was a DJ. My first DJ name was DJ Q because I was like a big fan of Juice. And I wanted to be DJ Q from Juice. So I used to call myself DJ Q, and then my cousin, not my cousin, I'm lying, my homeboy by the name of Boogie, he was like, he's like, yo, that name is trash, man. You need your own name. He said, yo, you be making the parties, you be setting the parties on fire, man. Your name should be Rsonist.
That shit's crazy.
And I'm like, that's kind of fire. And then I took the name, and then years later just dropped the A off when I became a producer. And just, because there was another DJ Rsonist from the Bronx at the time. So I dropped the A off and just made it Rsonist. And then coincidentally enough, Heatmakerz just lined up with Rsonist. Like Heatmakerz was a name that we made up because my name was Rsonist. Heatmakerz was actually somebody else's idea, but the person whose idea it was did me and my partner dirty on some money, so we took the name and incorporated it and just was off to the races.
There's so many times where like that happens and you're like, come on, man.
But everything happens for a reason. Now, looking back, hindsight, I understand that.
Absolutely. Is there an artist in this game, or an artist maybe you haven't come in contact with that you admire, or you feel like you would vibe the best with? Or you've already found that in the past?
Yeah, I don't know about vibe the best with, but there's a ton of artists that I would love to work with, whether it's, Eminem, a 50 Cent, Jay-Z, a Nas. I'm a huge fan of Thames. So like Thames, I would just like to try something outside the box. For me, anyway.
I always ask producers or artists this question. I don't know if like you could answer it, but I was like, okay, if you could like give a small example of a track you would cultivate and like throw an artist on, like what would it kind of sound like? What would it be called?
What do you mean? Like as far as
like if you were creating like a track, say like you chose Jay-Z, right? What would be the vibe and the feeling and the beat?
Monstrous, epic. If it's Jay-Z, it gotta be epic.
Yeah. Would you give it a title? Like if you could title it as a producer, like what would
I've never thought that far about it. I've never thought that far.
I always ask the question because I think it'll be
to me
cool.
That becomes kind of stalkerish.
Yeah. True.
Like I'm thinking about the title of our song. We never met.
We never met, right?
Yeah. So I don't really think that far ahead. I would just love to work with some of these artists.
No, for sure. Also, some people know, some people don't. You have like Caribbean backgrounds, Jamaican, to be correct.
When you walked in, you seen the Jamaican flag.
Exactly. So I was gonna say, do you feel that helped you in your career, or like, because
1,000,000%.
Yeah, because I know like Caribbean parents could be strict sometimes in like
all the time
what you choose, career-wise.
All the time. Like, you think my parents thought I was gonna be able to survive as a producer? Hell no. But the fact that they didn't believe is what pushed me to do it even more, because I'm like, I have to prove them wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not making it sound as if they try to stop me from doing this.
No.
But
They wanted to
it was
see
kind of a like, yeah, when he fails this, he'll jump in, he'll get a job. And it was no looking back.
Yeah. Arsonist said, not today.
Not today, man. Some people are just cut out to do different things, and I feel like I'm one of those people that I would, and no disrespect to anybody that has a 9 to 5 and that works, but I was never cut out to be that guy.
Yeah.
I can't take orders well. I don't like being talked down to. I don't like being told what time to be places. Like, I'm not that guy to do it.
I feel like this society makes it even worse.
Yes, and I'm not hard to work with. I just don't like anybody to dictate my moves. I've always had a pet peeve with that. It's like, what makes your time more important than mine?
True.
You know, so I feel like I'm in the perfect field for my personality.
I hear you. How do you balance that too? Like, are you in a relationship or are you married, if you don't mind?
I'm married.
You're married?
Yeah, I'm married.
When you first, I guess...
Anniversary just passed like 2 weeks ago.
Congratulations.
3 years.
I was going to say, like, when you first met Wifey, like, because, you know, I hear a lot of producers, like, I've gone through it for myself, where it's like, you're literally dedicated in the studio. Maybe your girl doesn't know where you are, and it's just, you're in the zone. How did you balance that?
Well, before, I had no balance. I would be in the studio 6 days a week, 18 hours a day, right?
With the cell phone ringing.
Yeah, of course. Messages going off, shit like that. But then, as I got older and things started to happen to people I care about, whether it's like, you know, scares of like, you know, sicknesses and things like that, my priorities became different. I realized that, like, I love music, but I love my family more. You know what I mean? At one point, and you know, people might criticize me for saying this, but at one point I felt like music was above all of that. And then again, when those things started to happen to me, as far as like people around me getting sick and whatever the case was, and me losing a couple people, I started to put things into perspective. Like, music will still be here.
True.
You know what I mean? And I'll make better music if I have a better balance.
Yes.
I can spend more time with my family. Instead of being in the studio 6 days a week, maybe I'll be in the studio 3 or 4 days a week. Instead of 18 hours a day, maybe I'll cut it down to 12. So now it's like, all right, cool. That means I'm in the studio for 36 hours for the week, for 3 days, 12 hours a piece. You know what I'm saying?
My father always said that. He said, you know, like, stop. Sometimes, like, when you reach a point, like, maybe you're frustrated, he's like, don't worry about it. Your brain's working on it in the background, even when you're not thinking about it. So I feel...
Of course. But I'm also a believer that the days you don't, as a creator, the days you don't create, whatever you would have created that day is gone.
Ah, okay. So it's like, it's somebody else's idea now. Like, it's in the
not
universe.
Not even somebody else's idea. It's just gone.
Gotcha.
Whatever, because only you would make what you would make. If I give you the same sample that I have, you're not going to make it like me.
True.
Because your brain is wired different.
It's your fingerprint on the...
Right.
Exactly.
But whatever, let's just say you didn't go to the studio on this particular Wednesday.
Yes.
Whatever you would have made on that Wednesday...
Gone forever.
It's forever gone now if you didn't use that idea that day. That's what I feel. I'm not saying that's right, but I feel like, because there's days I'm sitting in my crib and I'm super inspired, but I have no equipment around me at the time because I like to keep it separate. I could set up something in my house, but I'm like, I don't want to do that because I kind of want to leave work at work.
True.
You know what I mean? And I think if I'm surrounded by music in my crib, I'm going to start spending less time with my daughter, spending less time with my wife, sitting in the studio working on shit when I just want to chill. So I kind of try to separate the two. But there's days when I'm home and I feel super inspired and I know I would have made something incredible.
The finger gets itchy for the MPC.
Right. Or I just hear something, I'm like, I know what I would do with that.
What's a guilty indulgence that you love outside of music? Like what does Rsonist do in his spare time? That's
boxing. I love boxing. Like, I'm a huge boxing fan.
Dope.
Like, huge boxing fan. I watch fighters you probably never heard of. I know their record. I know who they fought, when they fought, when they're fighting again. I'm just into that because I believe boxing is really synonymous with life. Okay. Just in the sense of, if you're in a boxing ring and you get tired, there's nobody to save you or help you. You got to figure out how to make it through that. You understand? People can cheer you on like, yo, fight harder, do all of that shit. But at the end of the day, they're not in the ring fighting with you. True. And in real life, sometimes you going through shit and people can give you words of encouragement, but they can't get you through it. You got to get you through it. So that's why I like that type of, for lack of a better word, sport. Even though I don't really consider boxing a sport because people lose their lives all the time.
No, it's true.
You know what I'm saying?
Even if it's like slowly over time from getting hit up here too much.
Right. And think about it. With boxing, every time you step into that ring, there's a possibility you might not step out, right?
Yeah.
So even on the music side, not life or death, but when you dedicate a certain amount of time to this, you can't get that time back. So if you wasted years of your life trying to chase something and you feel like nothing is coming to fruition, you're not getting that time back.
That's true.
You know, so it's, both of them are kind of like, I have to really make up my mind before I do this. Because a lot of people take music as like it's recreation, which is cool.
Yeah.
But when it becomes your thing, all the fun and games go out the window.
Yeah, because I think at the end of the day, like you might be somebody else's form of weed. Like they're turning on the record,
1,000,000%.
they're driving home, and they're like, "Oh man."
And here's the crazy part about the way the music industry is set up now is that the lifespan of music is shorter than it's ever been, unless you catch one of those unforgettable records.
True.
I've put out an album before where it had 16, 17 records on there, like when I did El Capo for Jim.
Yeah.
After about 3 months, not even 3 months, I'm lying, maybe about a month and a half after the album was out, I'm starting to read the comments. Yo, when's the next one? We can't wait for the next one. And I'm like, how did you digest 17 records in a month and a half?
You guys literally, I don't know how to explain it. It's like that record in its entirety, it's like you can play it all the way through. It is so hard to do that nowadays. And I felt like, even though you guys are like professionals and well-known across the globe, it felt like two homies that just put their all into it. Like it was dope.
I mean, we kind of did, in the sense of, me and Jim spent a lot of time around each other during that album.
It felt,
you know
it felt like you guys were still like fighting. It felt like you were coming from that basement again. I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
like,
but I feel, because I don't know whether he'll say this or not, but I'll speak for myself. I was at a point where I felt like I had something to prove to my older fan base, a fan base that didn't know about me yet, other producers that I came up with that might have written me off. I just felt like I had a point to prove, like, I'm better than you think I am.
Yeah.
I can make a body of work that you can listen to from top to bottom with no skips.
You literally did that.
Shit, I appreciate the compliment, man.
That
was my goal.
It's so
at the time.
crazy because I like every track. Like, you know, some tracks you'll like skip, or I'm like, damn, like I'm on it. Like, all right, we're gonna have to add this. We're gonna have to add this. And like,
I appreciate it,
you know,
man.
producer to artist. I'm like, this guy did it. Like,
that's love, man.
Yeah.
Thank you, my brother.
Speaking of family and stuff like that, do you feel like the current Dipset beef like affects you? Do you feel like, damn, like why is it gotta be there, or you just separate yourself from it?
Well, that's a two-part question, right?
Yeah.
Does it affect me? It affects me because I got love for Jim and Cam.
Yeah.
And I don't like to see them going back and forth because they built something special together.
True.
You know what I mean? So that makes me feel like, you know, disappointed in that sense. But again, Jim and Cam knew each other before I knew them. So whatever problems they have, you know, hopefully in the future they could work it out. But, you know, I don't have any less love for either one.
Yeah.
It's the same. Like, both of them changed my life in different times. And, you know, so I just hope they can figure it out at some point, because they're brothers at the end of the day, no matter what they say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They went through certain times together. They brothers. So I just hope that they can put whatever aside, like even past the music, just as people, because God forbid something happened to either one, the other one would feel crazy.
Yeah, you start,
in my opinion.
You would feel like resentful for like any stupidity.
Yeah, I just, you know, life is short, man. Like we talked about early on this podcast, life is super short. You get a call one day and it changes your whole shit. So with me knowing that, I try to put those beefs aside, man. Like, there's bigger fish to fry.
Would you ever? Do you feel like your bond, where it's like, if you created what you felt would be like a brand new Dipset unifying beat tomorrow, and you had to call on your brothers, like, do you feel like
they would do it?
They would do it?
I don't know. I really don't know. That's hard for me to say. I don't know. I don't know how. You know, again, I don't think if nobody passed away or nobody hurt anybody's family member, I don't think it can ever be a real problem.
That's true.
Because words are words. At the end of the day, we all say shit that we want to take back from time to time. So
I feel like Joel's like and you were like probably the middlemen in this right now. It's kind of like
yeah, and I wouldn't even say middleman because I don't want to make it that type of division. You know what I
Okay.
mean? I just feel like Dipset will always be Dipset.
true.
Like what we did over those years could never be taken away. So it's like you can't diminish the accomplishment.
That's true.
You know, and hopefully one day, like I said, they can sit down and figure out that all of this shit ain't about nothing.
That's true. Did you hear that? That's the correct way about, going about things. I really feel like
Life is short.
Life
I
is
just
short.
want if either one of them see this, I just want them to understand the message of, life is short, man.
Yeah.
We've all lost people that we wish we could get back
absolutely.
and we would have changed things. And when we have the opportunity to change things, we should.
Yeah.
Because again, I'll repeat it, life is short, man.
Yeah. No, I lost a couple of friends before, during, and after the pandemic too, and it's like those are the people that like looked out for you the most. Like when you were down and
Right.
out, didn't have a dollar to your name. They're like, get back up. It's kind of like I guess your coach in the ring.
Right.
And
And it's like petty arguments. Sometimes I've argued with people in the past and years have passed and then I see them and I can't even remember what the argument was about.
damn,
You understand? Like, years just move too fast, man. Like, in my head, I remember vividly being 21.
Yeah.
I remember my first studio session with Dipset. I just remember vivid memories that felt like yesterday to me. Meanwhile, it was 20 years ago.
when you were in that room, do you remember what song was being worked on, or like
I remember all the songs that was being worked on. I remember when
you probably come from an era where like you had the pleasure of actually seeing the record being
Yeah,
made
of course.
versus
yeah.
like a
because
lot of
what
people
would
it's
happen
just
is
like,
when I would bring the music to the studio, whatever beats they liked, they started working on it right then and there. It
Yeah.
wasn't we got to take it home and live with it. It was all right, cool. Joel started writing, Cam started writing, and before you know it, the song was done.
that's crazy.
So I had the pleasure of seeing 75% of those records be recorded that was on Diplomatic Community. So
Were you like smiling from your heart at that point, where you were just like,
I didn't understand, man. I was just so worried about making more. You know what I mean? Because you get into a space where you're like, oh shit, they like that, they like that, they like this. I need more beats.
it's like that they're eating more like quicker than you can dish it out.
Then you can cook, right?
Yeah.
And then, so that's where my mind was at. My mind was never like, oh shit, I just placed these records with Dipset. My check gonna look like this. Niggas is gonna be jealous. And I didn't even think that far. It was just, I need more music.
Yeah. You're like,
You know what I mean?
There's that first tier of responsibility where it's like, I
Right.
gotta keep this up.
Right, because at the end of the day, that feeling is addictive.
Yeah.
And you don't want to lose that feeling.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you have to keep working to keep that high going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Without even knowing what you're doing at the time, you're addicted to that feeling.
Absolutely. I was gonna say, like, is there anybody outside of yourself that like really inspires you?
That inspires me. I know some people gonna be like, yo, he's full of shit. Nobody inspires him. But I'm self-inspired at this point,
Okay.
man. I've been through so much shit in my life that me being able to do what I do every day is inspiration enough. Knowing that I can make it out the crib, get to the studio, and do some work and go home and repeat it again the next day,
Yeah.
that's inspiration for me.
Nice.
You know what I mean? Like I remember days where it was like I was trying to rent studios from people because I didn't have my own shit. And it was like, you got to work around somebody else's time. And, so I'm just blessed for where I'm at now. So that's my inspiration, is just all the things I've accomplished inspire me.
Dope. Where do you see the evolution of Rsonist or Heatmakerz? Like, is there anything that you feel vibe-wise that's gonna carry you to a certain level next in your career?
I want to get into scoring. That's my
Ooh.
next.
Oh.
That's my next challenge or my next goal that I want to reach, because it's no easy way to get into that.
No.
Nobody doesn't. They don't just say, okay, cool, we have a budget of $6 million for this movie for the music, and we're gonna trust you with it.
Yeah,
We've
yeah.
never met you before. Go do your thing. That doesn't happen.
True.
So in order to get into that world, you gotta know people. You gotta it's like trial and error.
True.
Start on small films. Maybe fuck up. Maybe, you know what I mean?
I
Maybe
feel like
you don't.
that fashion parallel and that like movie industry parallel is very
Yeah, but again, I want to be uncomfortable at this point in my career, in the sense of I want to be challenged, because there's no fun in repeating the same thing over and over again, like producing for artists year after year. I mean, I love it, but I also want to challenge myself in different areas too, as far as like I said, scoring movies, whether it's doing commercials, whether I just want to be involved in a different aspect of music, along with what I'm doing too, but just push myself to different levels.
Well, I'll put that blessing in the universe for you as well.
Shit, you and me both, man.
Is there like outside of like maybe, you know, the Dipset album, the first one that came out, El Capo, is there like a project or a song that you're like really proud of that maybe your audience doesn't know?
I've done a couple that I'm proud of, man. I don't know if the audience would know about. The project I just did with Joel Ortiz, War.
Okay.
I'm proud of that too. I just feel like it didn't get the it didn't get the eyes and ears on it that it deserved. You know, and that's no knock to anybody. I just
I mean,
know
like
how
that's
to.
like what Mozart went through when he was alive.
Right.
And everybody, yo,
They'll figure
screw
it
this
out.
guy. You know what I'm saying?
People.
They're gonna be
People figure it
sampling
out.
you in the future. You know what I'm saying? Like, which is crazy.
And I did a project with a brother by the name of I Born. He's a lieutenant in the FOI. He's a Muslim. He's with the Nation of Islam. And we did a project called Born Again, where I produced 9 records for him on a project. And we crafted that project from like just an idea and turned it into an incredible body of work. Raekwon is on there. Jim Jones is on there. Another talented artist by the name of Angel Hill is on there. Joel Ortiz is on there. But I'm proud of those pieces of work because me and the artist sat together, and from inception, we came up with this is the direction we want to go in, and we executed.
Beautiful.
You know, it's one thing to have an idea, but to be able to execute that idea is something different.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, that's true, because I feel like sometimes you hand off your baby, your production to other people. They take care of it, but it comes back in different clothes, and you're like, all right, like
All the time.
You know, it's way different. People don't realize that behind the scenes, like,
and what the higher ups don't understand is that you would rather fail with your ideas than win with theirs.
say that again, because that's super dope.
I'm gonna speak for myself.
Yes.
I want to speak for
No, but
everybody else.
that was a dope line.
I would rather fail with my own ideas than to win with yours. And I know that might sound selfish,
No.
like, yo, but isn't the objective to win?
That's hard.
Yes, but if I'm winning with your ideas, who's really winning?
That's true.
Me or you?
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
So that means that I can't even judge where I'm at in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
Like, because these aren't my ideas.
Yeah.
So that means you won.
True.
You understand? So as a creator, I don't think certain people understand that a creator wants to live and die by his or her work.
Yes.
We don't want it tainted. We don't want certain things added that we didn't want just because you feel that way. It's like, it's a sensitive thing. And a lot of people don't understand that, because people will come up to me and they say, yo, Ars, I want to collaborate with you and do X, Y, and Z. I take music serious to the point that I don't think 2 producers that just meet each other can just out of the blue collaborate.
That's true.
And make serious music.
Yeah.
We can make some play around shit that, okay, you played the pianos, I put some 808s, and this is, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about life-changing music.
Exactly.
It's hard for 2 people that don't know each other to just get into a room without conversation or any real, I know your background, you know my background, and now we turn on the machines and we make something epic.
Yeah.
It's rare that happens, because music is a personal thing. Before I make music with any artist, I gotta know you.
Yeah, it's true.
What's your life like? Where you from? What do you like? What don't you like?
Yeah.
What type of vibe are you on musically?
I felt
what
like first time I met you, I felt like instinctively, out of like a lot of people I met in the industry, you just had like a keen sense on like breaking things down, and you respected the music. But I also felt that too. I was like, we're both producers. I'm like, we could respect that, but sometimes it's hard. People don't realize it doesn't just come together like that.
Right, and here's the thing, man. I'm a fan of other producers. And that doesn't mean that I want to collaborate with them. That just means that I want to be a fan from afar.
Yeah, you admire it.
Like, I love the Neptunes. I love Timbaland's music. I love, no matter, a lot of producers.
Yeah.
But would I want to produce a record with them like they do this and I do? No. I respect their sound too much. I don't want to change their sound with my sound.
Yeah.
That's what, all of us are superheroes in a sense, right? We all come with our own superpowers. My superpowers might not mix with yours.
Exactly.
You understand? But I'm a fan of yours.
Exactly.
I can watch you do your superpowers shit and be a fan of it.
True.
That doesn't mean I want to collaborate with you and share our powers. Like, it doesn't make sense sometimes.
Yeah.
But the industry forces that on new producers, because a lot of new producers, their whole thing is, yo, let's collab, let's collab. And it's like, music isn't personal enough to you yet. That's why you're talking like that.
I think it's easier when like you're an artist and you're like, oh, I want to collab, because you can bridge that gap.
Think about it like this from an artist standpoint. If let's just say you're a rapper and now somebody wants you to collaborate with this other rapper, but they don't mean you write a verse, he write a verse. They mean you guys write a verse together. That's what the production shit is.
Gotcha.
You know how weird that would be if somebody said, okay, cool, we're gonna put Raekwon and I'm just making up random names. We're gonna put Raekwon and 50 Cent in the studio together.
Okay.
We need you guys to write a verse together.
Yeah.
Not meaning like he might write some of your lines, you might write some of his. They would be like, yo, what are you talking about?
Who would be an artist that would be like out of pocket for you, where you're like,
to work with?
Yeah, like
who would kind of sound fun, not sound funny, but it would be weird over a Heatmakerz beat?
like could you see yourself like, because I know R&B artists like hop on your records, but it's like, could you produce something for Justin Bieber and still make it Heatmakerz?
I'll play you something when we get off when we get off this interview to answer that question.
Dope.
But yeah, that's he's not a name that I would think of with that question, because I could do that.
Yeah.
You know, and but there are some artists that I'm like, what would I do with that artist?
Because I would love to hear like crack music. It'd be like, yeah.
Like even when I brought up Thames' name, like I love Thames.
Thames is fire.
But I don't know what I would do if we got in the studio. I would figure it out.
You know what I feel like you could do? Because like you break down Jamaican records, you probably break down rhythms and all that.
Right.
And then she got the African soul. But like I feel like you could do it.
It would get figured out. Let's not get it twisted.
For sure.
It'll get figured out, but it would be a challenge for me, which I like. I would want to figure that out.
That's dope.
You know, so
I hope they're listening.
Shit, me too, man.
I had a question also. What are some like harsh truths you could share, maybe with like, you know, up and coming aspiring artists or producers that would help them navigate?
Harsh truths?
Yeah.
And these are some of the artists. This is for some of the artists that might be winning right now.
Yeah.
It does not last forever. You might think it does because you're getting money every week. You're putting $10,000, $15,000 in your pocket after every show, and you're doing this, you're doing that. It might feels like it's never gonna run out. But it's gonna run out. Guaranteed. Think about any artist you've ever known, with the exception of maybe 0.001%. They all have faded at some point.
Yeah.
Not saying that they fell all the way off the map, but their careers took a drastic change. Whether it was their lifestyle, whether it was the fan base they had, everything takes a hit at some point.
True.
Because at some point, the coolest artist becomes the uncool dude.
That's true.
And guess who's the last to know? The artist.
I know.
So
that's why I said you could give your whole life to these people, and then at the end of the day, you're just like,
this is what I'm saying to you. You become
Joe Schmo.
One day you're the coolest dude, the next day you're Unc.
That's true.
You're Unc, man. What are you like? Damn, when the fuck did I become old? You're OG. You like, what the fuck? I'm OG already?
Damn.
So it changes fast. So I would tell any artist the harsh truth is it does not last forever.
True.
Yeah, you might be winning now. And this is no hate shit. Some people are like, yo, he's a hater. No. Just look at the landscape.
I think it's that parallel, that boxing you talked about. You could be on top of the world. You can't be young forever.
Yes. And guess what? You get to a certain point in your career where people want to see you fall off.
That's true.
Because they feel like you've been winning too long.
Yeah.
Like, do you see how, and again, this is not to get into this because, you know, I'm not picking a side on any side.
Yeah.
But with the Drake and Kendrick beef, do you see how many people are celebrating
somebody else's
the Drake decline?
Exactly.
It's like, it's almost disgusting to me.
Yeah,
did Kendrick win the rap battle? Of course.
For sure.
Of course. There's no denying that.
No.
But because Drake lost that battle, people are treating him like he didn't just accomplish 15 years of phenomenal shit.
You know what it feels like? It feels like the modern version of like, I wouldn't say like a crucifixion, but like, you know, when they would behead somebody in the Middleville Square.
Of course. I think Jay said it on a song that, what did he say? He said you can live long enough to go from the...
To see yourself like almost become the Joker.
To become the villain, right. Yeah. But it's a fact. It's like a lot of people don't want to see somebody win for too long.
It's so crazy.
They almost feel slighted, like, fuck him. Yo, he's this, he's that. It's like, why? What did he do to you?
That's a weird part of like, I feel like weak psychology. where it's like, damn, like why would you even want to feel that if you knew how much it took to get here?
Again, it goes back to misery loves company.
Mm.
I've been losing for all these years. I need to see you lose. For no reason. It's a sad train of thought that especially lives in hip hop,
Yes.
particularly.
Yeah.
Like hip hop is the one place where they can't wait to call you old and write you off.
Sucks.
It's like rock groups don't do that.
Yeah.
Kiss could still tour.
Yeah.
Kiss might be in their 80s.
Or they'll kiss your ass when they see you in person after talking smack on the internet. They're like, can I get a photo? And you're
Right.
like, I bet you were
Right.
talking shit like 10 seconds ago.
Right. And here's the thing about it too. You might have, let's just say I'm somewhere and somebody tried to get my attention and say something to me and I didn't see him and I kept it moving.
Mm-hmm.
And now their story is, yo, he's a dickhead. I seen him in the airport. He couldn't even stop to do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you don't even know this happened.
Exactly.
Now that person is spreading the story of, yo, I met him, he's a dickhead, he did X, Y, and Z. And that story is circulating. You have no clue that event even happened.
They don't, again, goes back to you don't know if somebody just passed. You don't know if somebody
Exactly.
messed you over in
But
a deal.
that's the thing. A lot of the fans think that when you're inside of this creative space, you don't have those problems.
True.
You don't have a sick family member. You don't have a friend that just passed away.
Yeah.
You're not dealing with internal shit in your family and all of that. They think you're exempt from all
Yeah,
of
and
that.
they're like, can you give me?
You know what niggas write in my comments when, if let's just say I put up something and say like, this close friend of me passed away. People will be in the comments like, yo, make a beat about it. Make some shit that, and you're like, do you realize what I just told you?
That's crazy.
What do you mean make a beat about it? I just lost a family member or a close friend. You talking about put it in a song? Like, what are you talking about?
They have no clue.
This is what I'm saying. I think a lot of people, they don't know how to separate, okay, cool, this guy is an artist or he's a producer or he's whatever he does in his respective field. He still has the same thing you have. Family problems. Graduations for his kids might be coming up.
Yeah.
His kids might have pissed him off last night. All of these things can happen.
Yeah, and you're still expected to be.
And you still have to be creative
Heatmakerz.
when you come in. Right. So like now we're doing this interview.
Yeah.
Suppose I just finished getting into an argument with my wife before this interview
Forget
started.
about
I can't bring that energy into this.
No.
I gotta put a smile on my face. We gotta talk. We gotta laugh. And I gotta act like that never happened.
Yeah.
There's very few fields where you have to do that.
I did a podcast where actually somebody came in and they were beefing with their girl and the energy came in and there was like things were happening where it's like, damn, I forgot to press record. It's like, it's crazy how that energy gets in.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, if you haven't been doing this for a while, you don't understand how to compartmentalize.
Yes.
All right, cool. That happened. He has nothing to do with this.
Yes.
Let me not spread that energy to him. I'll deal with that when we get out of here.
Yeah, like the guy came in with a good intention and then this, that, and the third.
Yeah, but I kind of know how to,
Separate.
I can really live in the moment.
That's good.
You know what I mean? Which I didn't know how to do for years. But like if I'm going through something, in my mind, I can say, all right, cool. I can't do anything at this particular moment to change that.
Yeah.
Let me put that out of my brain and just be creative for the next 3 to 4 hours.
Okay.
And then when that's over, I can deal with this again. I've learned how to do that because like I said, I've been through all types of things, man. Like before walking into the studio, hearing that this friend is sick or this friend passed away and you like, damn, I got a session in an hour. And I can't bring that energy into the session but because this is the first time that artist is gonna meet me.
That's why.
And I don't wanna let off that like, yo, who is this depressing dude? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you almost gotta put on that face of, yo, everything is good, let's work. Meanwhile, you might be having the worst day of your life.
Jeez.
So, you know, it's a balancing act, man, that I think over the years I've learned how to deal with more and more as the years have passed.
No, absolutely. No, I think that's, you know, I appreciate your vulnerability on that side, like, you know, expressing that because some people think it's all grand, you know, like you're here
course.
living, you know, you might be in some senses over other people.
Everything is what you make it, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like again, when I had $10 in my pocket and it was some of the happiest days of my life, it's because my outlook on life was different. I saw nothing but opportunity at that point.
Yeah.
You understand? So no matter what you have, you will never enjoy it unless you look at life a certain way.
That is true.
Because if you always feel like you need more, your life is going to be disgusting.
That is true.
At some point, you have to be content.
Yes.
And I'm not talking about even just monetarily. I just mean with the people in your life, the things going on in your life,
Yeah.
the opportunities that you might have or might not have.
That's true.
You got to learn how to okay, cool. This is the opportunities I have. I'm gonna make the best out of that. Even though the guy across the street from me might have a better opportunity for himself, and I'm jealous of that, that's not mine. This is mine. I'm gonna make the best out of this.
I feel that.
Some people don't know how to live like that.
Yeah, because I feel like when it came to music, it's like the business aspect of like, I was never business oriented when it came to it. I just love to make music. So it took a toll on me between losing music, getting robbed at gunpoint for music, all these different situations.
Those are the stories that people will never understand that happens. There's a lot of shit that goes on behind the scenes that you would think don't happen at this day and age in the music industry.
It took the pleasure out of it. So like I knew I was really in love with music when I was able to just go back to the basement, like you said, and just like make it, and I'm happy. I don't have to promote it to the world or nothing.
Right. And as long as you love it, that's all that matters at that point, because you're not seeking anybody else's validation at that point. It's just about, let me make shit that I personally enjoy.
And that's why, like, you know, in this universe of superheroes, including yourself, it's like, that's why I love speaking to you guys man to man and just really being like, listen, you know, the world admires you and this, that, and the third, but there's always that, like, I want you to speak that real, you know? So like the world.
That's what gets me in trouble on these microphones, man, because I don't know how to not speak my mind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So sometimes I'll say things and I'm like, damn, should I have said that? But then I'm like, I don't know how to be any other way. You know, so interviewing me, you're going to get some of the most honest answers you'll get in your life,
I love that, though. I love that. And I think I've respected that from you since I met you last time. And for you to give me the time to do this again, super, super humble and respect everything 100%, you know?
And for the people that can't see on the other side of the camera, his setup is incredible, man. This is Fox or NBC. This is, you know what I mean? So congratulations to you, my brother, your professionalism.
Thank you. No, that's what I wanted to bring to the game. And, you know, that's how I feel. I was like, listen, whether it's my brother, you know, my real brother, or like, you know, family member or friend or yourself that has this career that's like worldwide and known, like, I just feel like I want to give like all the people in my life that respected me the respect and the flowers while they're here, and just like, you know, I want to hear their stories, you know, and
I appreciate that.
Just have real interactions in an unreal world.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a fact, man. I mean, it's real to whoever it's real to. You know what I mean? Everybody's reality is different, is what I'm saying. So when people say, yo, act real, like, this is real, that is my real. You know what I mean? Like, some people don't understand that when they say that to other people. Snap into reality. They did. They snapped into theirs.
Did you ever feel like there was a point where, like, maybe there's things you shouldn't have invested into, or life wasn't feeling real, like it was just like too much?
I mean, just to sum it all up, there was times in my life when my priorities were out of order, like severely out of order. You know what I mean? Where I put so many things before the music, and I still expected the same results. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't understand that you get out of this music industry what you put into this music industry. So if you're a dude that goes to the studio for 12 hours, but you're only working for an hour while you're in there, the results are going to show that.
Yeah, I see a lot of guys that go to the studio and they're like, oh, BTS, but what did you create?
I've had dudes walk into the studio, and it wasn't even their session. They're a homeboy of the dude whose session it was. And they'll break their camera out. Yo, you see what I'm doing? Yo, I'm working, I'm getting to the bag. And you're like, you're not even recording. This isn't even your set. That's what I'm thinking in my head. Like, so it's really all about the content to a lot of these artists. It's not even really about the work.
No.
If I can put up a video in the studio, standing in the booth, looking at the computer screen, talking to the producer, that's good.
Yeah.
Because now my quote unquote fans think that I'm working. I've never been that type. Like, I'm not the type to try to act like I'm working with an artist to get views. Like, you won't even really see me post a picture with an artist unless we got a song done already.
No, so many people are like obsessed with the clout. And I've had like people, like, we had like, I'm talking about teams for a fashion photo shoot. We had the front cover of the magazine. But because one person wanted the clout, they released it before the magazine. And then it was washed. You know what I'm saying? So things can happen like that.
Let me tell you something, man. Those people, as much as certain people want fame, I don't think they understand what it entails. It strips away a certain level of your private, especially if you're a private person. Notoriety strips away a certain layer of that.
That is true.
To the point where it's like you could be eating with your wife or your girlfriend, whoever, you be sitting there eating somebody, they don't care about that. They're like, yo, man, yo, I love your music, da-da-da. You think we get a picture? You in the middle of your meal, by the way. True. You know what I'm saying? And I understand both sides of it. Because when you're a fan of somebody, again, you don't look at the side where they're a person.
Yeah.
They're almost like this mythical creature to you. And you just happen to come across them. Yeah. Even if it's in a restaurant. I gotta go get this picture.
The world like lacks humanity already. And it's even emphasized more, like you said, when it comes to these interactions.
And again, I'm not complaining. I'm saying, because here's the thing, man. You can't ask for some of the benefits that this game offers without accepting that.
Yeah.
Because that's the flip side of it. You know what I mean? You know how they say heavy is the head that wears the crown? Yeah. It's like that. It's like, okay, cool. I can't expect to get paid what I get paid for music and not have a couple people run down on me and be like, yo, Rsonist, man, let me get I'm cool with that. Yeah. You know what I mean? But some people beef about it so much, it's like, you have to understand that comes with this.
That is true.
And I'm at the lower level. I'm talking about, like, if you're somebody like an Eminem, he can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
But look at the success that he has.
He would have to like dress up as like Elmo to like get through the streets.
It would be too much.
Yeah,
like
crazy.
For him to do anything is too much. He needs a security team to probably go to ShopRite.
Do you ever feel kind of like happy just being where you are? Like, because I feel like when you look at it, like when you, you know, your career perspective, is like if you were like too famous, like it's just like it gets too crazy.
Yeah, and again, man, I don't look at myself as having any type of fame. I just look at myself like I did a couple things. Some people know me, and that, you know, that's what it is. I've never put myself in the category of any type of celebrity or anything. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, in my head, I'm just a producer that happened to help define the era. Nothing more, nothing less.
But that's like, it's weird like being on the other side of it, because it's like I want to give that more value or respect, because it's like, you know, you'll have a Drake that said, oh, I need some Dipset Heatmakerz shit. Like, you coexist in that world.
Which was kind of foul, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, shit, I'm alive.
Exactly.
You made it sound like I was dead or
exactly,
something. Yo, I told 40 make me some Dipset Heatmakerz shit. Like, you could have called me.
Exactly.
So, you know. Game is funny, man.
game is funny.
The game is so funny, man.
And people don't think about it from that perspective either. You're like, I'm here, what's good?
Right. Like, you know, this is why I don't do these, man, because I feel like, you know,
no,
it is
it's
what
true.
it is.
It's true. But that's a sincere feeling. Like, you're like, let's make it happen. It's history. And why do you have so much? Why? That's another thing what I don't like is that sometimes, like, me being a cameraman, right? They look at the camera before the guy behind the camera. That's like, it's like you behind the beats. It's like, why would you go to why would you go to Swiss? Why would you go to Timberland and tell them to emulate a beat of each other? Like, why would you go to Swiss and be like, yo, can you make me a Neptune's beat? The disrespect.
That would have never happened. There was a point in time in music where that became acceptable.
Yeah.
That would have never happened early 2000s. No. That would have been frowned upon.
What do you feel about situations where like Timberland was like an innovator of hip hop careers, of like sound sonically, what he was creating? You know, even like Danger Hands being in that era, and then it's like now you almost feel like a Timberland has to do the drill. Like, maybe he likes it, but I feel like he has to conform to that part of the industry versus being Timberland, where he's still coming up with the crazy samples of like babies crying and stuff like that. Like,
my personal opinion, I think it's become more of a business to him.
Okay.
I don't think I'm not saying he doesn't love music. I'm sure he loves it.
Yeah.
But that love to create some new sounds and new things, I think he's lost some of that.
Gotcha.
Just because, you know, like, I've seen things where other people are like, you know, they work with Timberland, they say they produce this. Like, I just found out Danger Hands did a couple of things that I thought Timberland did the other day. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, it is what it is, as long as he got his credit.
Yeah.
But I feel like a producer like Danger Hands, I feel like he still truly loves music, creating new sounds, creating new things. I feel like Timbaland is past that mentally.
I got you.
He just kind of, not for lack of better words, I feel like he wants to cash out.
Yeah.
I've did all these things over the years. Let me just reap my benefits.
I think there's like a Kanye parallel. It's not like he can't, but it's like he's past.
I feel like Kanye just wants to dominate every field.
Yeah.
That's like his thing. Timbaland, at this point, I think wants to get what he feels he deserves out the music game and kind of just fade to the background.
That's what I think is something special about your career, because like it's like a luxury where you can still drop your tagline and your sound and people like, there he is.
Right.
I love it. You know what I'm saying? Versus like, why don't you blah, 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 and like complain about it for some reason. Like,
nah, just because my music, a lot of people can attach it to a certain point in their life.
Yeah.
And it's a signature feeling.
It is.
You know what I mean? You remember how you felt when you heard some of these records. Yeah. And I think some people never let go of that feeling. So when I give them new music, it almost reignites that feeling again. And they're like, oh, that's the shit I've been missing.
I was wearing Girbaud jeans with Timbs and like triple XL shirts, acting stupid.
It was a nasty fashion time. Now that we look back, I look back at some pictures, I'm like, that was nasty.
Yeah, right?
Like, why was I wearing a size 38 jean?
Yeah. But
when I really wore like a 32, 34 like, at the time. Like, what was I doing?
We were all lost because the girls thought it was cute too. They're like, oh my God, I love you.
But did they? We don't even know if they did. We just kind of followed the trend. Like, why was I wearing a 3X t-shirt down to my knees? Like, why was I wearing that?
Right.
Like, that
it was basically a dress.
But everybody, that's the thing about it. It's like, in New York, they was wearing oversized hats.
Yeah. With the stickers on it.
It was nasty.
Right.
That was a nasty fashion time.
And like, imagine like you curved the brim like you did now, which looks dope.
You couldn't do that.
You couldn't do it.
You couldn't do that.
Like, you
that
had to look like a duck or something.
Oh
like,
my God, man, it was a nasty time in fashion.
What's one of your favorite Dipset fashion trends that you could say that you're appreciative for?
Favorite Dipset fashion. I would probably say the style that Jim brought to the table, like that whole, like the rock star style.
Yeah.
I just feel like nobody in hip hop was doing that. But what I will say, and this is no slight to Jim, I'm Jamaican. Jamaica's been dressing like that for a long time.
True.
And to the point where people used to be like, yo, why your jeans so tight? Yeah. Jamaicans never got on to the baggy shit.
Plus, it was hot.
I
like
did that
they
because
they had the whatchamacallit, the tanks that were like
those are the you know, the fishnet. The fishnet tank top, but not that. I'm talking about like the fitted jeans, the fitted shirt. Like Jamaicans been on that,
That's
you know.
True.
So I know, Jim brought that to the hip hop world, but Jamaicans been on that.
True,
you know what I mean?
True.
For a long time. But I give Jim his credit because that was a bold move to try to bring that to hip hop, because that's when everybody was wearing really baggy ass jeans, and Jim kind of, okay, I'm gonna start wearing my size.
Exactly.
Which was, that was a bold move at the time.
Yeah. Harlem, like in general, like whether you're, so
everybody
many
used to think
trends.
I was from Harlem, man. I'm from the Bronx, but I got to give the Bronx some love so they don't shun me when I go back.
BX. Man, honestly, again, honor and pleasure to have exchanged with you.
Oh yeah, of course, man. I appreciate you for coming all the way through, man. Bringing y'all, like, again, y'all can't see. He got this setup, and we're gonna take a picture and put some behind the scenes. You can see what this setup look like.
Absolutely.
But he brought out the works, man.
Thank you.
I appreciate that.
Yes.
For coming to the studio and making it convenient for me.
Absolutely. What's dope about this interview is the first of its kind, because I usually record from my place. So like I was like, you know what? Let's break that
that's
trend.
Fire.
Yeah.
So I'm like Soulja Boy.
Exactly.
This is the first.
Heatmakerz made it happen. So once again, do you have any final words for anybody tuning in?
Man, just keep your eyes and your ears open for Heatmakerz, man. That's it. If you've been a fan, I appreciate it. If you're a new fan, I appreciate it. If you hate my music enough to comment all the time, I appreciate that too. Because, as long as you interact, that means that you care enough to do something.
Absolutely.
Just don't be on the fence when it comes to my music. Either hate it or love it. Because when you on the fence, that's the worst insult.
No, it's true.
That means that you feel no way about anything I do. Even if you hate it, that I created a feeling in your brain if you hate it. You know what I mean? So I did something.
True.
Or if you love it. But when you on the fence about it, that's the worst insult. So just feel a way about my music. Love it or hate it. Just have a feeling about it.
Absolutely. Once again, this was Chez Parlay with Rsonist of The Heatmakerz.
Crack music.
Crack music. I appreciate you, brother. And you guys, tune in. We're going to have incredible guests this season. And much love, as always. Peace.